What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. So, in the TWAB or TWID this week, Bungie announced that there's an Onslaught Legend Challenge. So, the first 3 fire teams that beat the Onslaught on all 50 waves on Legend difficulty will receive this Shax helmet. So, I'm probably going to make some Onslaught builds, but I thought it would be good to just go over the builds that I think will be the best on each character. So we're going to start with the Titan because I think overall Titan is the strongest for what Onslaught's going to bring. Now, this build goes extremely hard. I used it to solo flawless the Legend Operation Seraph Shield or whatever, that mission. And it's very, very good. So Parasite got a reserve buff, and it's really good in something like Onslaught because it's like a horde mode. So you're going to be slaying out on a ton of enemies with like your Pyrogale Gauntlet build. And then whenever there's big, high health targets, just use Parasite to take them out. So that's going to be really good. Also in the TWAB, they mentioned that they are nerfing disorienting grenades, which sucks because these are really good for survivability. But regardless, they're still going to be good. They're just going to do less damage, but these were more of a utility thing. But they also have less radius, and they already have really low radius. But regardless, it will be good for just survivability in general. So I would run that. Zali's Bane, so like hand cannons are in a very good spot. This one has explosive payload and one for all, so it pretty much hits like Sunshot, like same damage. But as a legendary. So very, very good. And it gives you unstoppable hand cannon. So real quick, I'll go through the rest of these. So blast radius for getting armor charges. So that will work with your Parasite. And if you happen to get multi-kills with a grenade launcher. So grenade launchers are getting buffed. It's just disorienting grenades that are getting nerfed. But yeah, so then we've got Kindling Trigger. You know, all the main solar ones wished into being, so this will help us get us more supers. Heart of the Flame gives us Radiant, Revitalizing Blast for weakening, Raise of Precision to get ignitions with our Solar Hand Cannon. So yeah, this build is just all around insane this season. So I will just quickly give an overview so you can see everything, and then I'll just kind of talk about it quick. But yeah, so here's the overview if you just want to copy it. And then I'm going to talk about the build. So obviously we want Burning Maul because we've got Pyrogale Gauntlets on, Throwing Hammer, Healing Grenade for survivability, Consecration, which is great for taking out groups of adds, which is perfect for what Onslaught's going to be, Soul Invictus for survivability. It gives us restoration. It gives us ability energy back when we pass through a sunspot. So you want 100 strength, and then you want to make a ton of sunspots. You're going to have your melee up pretty much all the time. We've got Ember of Mercy. So picking up a Fire Sprite grants restoration, plus 10 to Rezill, and it gives us Resto. So again, this is for survivability. And then the Fire Sprites as well are nice for grenade energy. Ember of Torches to make us Radiant. This isn't 100% needed, but I like running it. But you can run something else here if you like. Ember of Searing. This one is very important. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a Fire Sprite. So this one is how we get all our melee energy, and then we're going to be scorching everything because of Kindling Trigger, or whatever one causes scorch on hit from Zali's Bane. So yeah, really, really good. So you definitely need Ember of Searing, and then I have Empyrean to extend Resto and Radiant. So with this build, you pretty much have permanent restoration, permanent Radiant. It's just insanely, insanely good. And we'll just quickly go through the mods as well. So Harmonic Siphon, so my hand cannon and Parasite can make Orbs of Power. Heavy Ammo Finder to get lots of Parasite ammo. Hands On for lots of supers because we're getting tons of Consecration kills. Then Solar Loader. This is nice for the Zali's Bane. And I actually use Holster on the boots because I hate reloading Parasite. But if you do have to manually reload it, it helps Parasite as well. Causing damage with a powered melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown, so impact induction is really nice for getting more healing grenades. And then heavy-handed, of course, so when we do our consecration, we make an orb of power. These, it just depends on the enemy types that are going to be in the in Onslaught, so maybe you'll want arc resist instead of void resist or something, but definitely resist mods. So I've got a scavenger to help keep my reserves up on Parasite, but I know there are heavy ammo crates in Onslaught. So if we don't need this, I would actually run Invigoration, because every time we pick up an orb, it's just going to help us get more consecrations. So I may swap out Scav for Invigoration, Solar Holster, so we can just fire a Parasite and then go back to killing. And then the next time we're ready to shoot a Parasite, it's reloaded for us. And then Recuperation, this is for survivability. Again, this isn't a must-have. You can run something else here if you would like, but I really like it because it just helps with survivability, and we don't know how hard Onslaught's going to be. And then just for little chunks of energy back, we can just cast our Barricade, and then we're going to get a little chunk of Discipline and Strength back. Or you could run 1-2 Finisher, so getting Finisher kills restores melee abilities. So I might actually swap that with one of these. So yeah, that is the first build, and now we will move to the Warlock. Actually, before we move to the Warlock, I did want to talk about Strand Titan because it's absolutely busted with Into the Fray and Banner of War. Grapple melees, Frenzied Blade. You've probably seen this setup many times in different dungeon speedruns and things. So I'm just going to quickly show it here. This is totally busted, and this is a very good build that you could also copy. And depending how the ads are set up, maybe Syntheseps will be better than Worm Gods. But either way, you can't go wrong with either of these. These setups are absolutely busted, and I will be playing with that. You want a 1-2 punch shotgun, and then I would swap Tractor Cannon for Parasite. And yeah, this build needs a nerf, like straight up. It's so good. So I'd be crazy not to mention it here. But yeah, like I have more fun playing Solar Titan because I'm just kind of sick of how busted Strand Titan is. But like I said, I'd be crazy to not mention it. So I did just want to show it really quick. And for that Solar Titan build, I do have a full build breakdown on my channel if you want like a more in-depth explanation of how it works. I was just trying to show like the aspects and fragments and how to make the build so that you're ready for Onslaught. And then here's some gameplay with that, pretty much that exact build of me solo flawlessing this mission. So yeah, check those out if you want more info. And then for the Warlock one, I made this one a long time ago. The floor is lava. So it is the classic Sunbracers build with Heat Rises. So there's an Icarus Dash variant and a Heat Rises variant. For Onslaught, because there's going to be so many enemies, I think you definitely want the Heat Rises version. So you consume your grenade, and then that activates Heat Rises. Then when you do a Phoenix Dive, you get Restoration for like 3 seconds. So then you just have to get a solar kill in those 3 seconds to extend Resto ×2 with Ember of Empyrean. And then you pretty much just chuck out grenades. So here's the full build if you want to see. So we've got Ember of Torches. Again, I just like torches. It's really easy to get Radiant this season with the artifact mods, so you may not need this. I just like having it. Ember of Ashes, really important to apply more Scorch stacks with your solar grenades. So that'll get you some ignitions. And in Onslaught being a horde mode, ignitions are going to be really good. Ember of Empyrean for that Resto extension. A must-have. You need it on this build. And then Ember of Singeing. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. So Searing is used on the Titan build because we want melee energy, but in the Heat Rises one, as long as we're getting airborne kills, we get tons of melee energy back. So this is why we go Singeing, so that if we're in a jam and we need some health, we can just Phoenix Dive. So that's the basic setup. And then I really like this. So Slice, Controlled Burst, so many people go Overflow, but Slice is really nice because, again, we're going to have lots of Phoenix Dives. And then this makes enemies hit less hard. Like that's what Severed does. So I can't remember how much it reduces their damage. It's like 40% or something. So it'll make survivability way easier. And then Controlled Burst is really nice for bursting down high health targets. Then we've got Zali's Bane again. This one with Incandescent, Enhanced Incandescent. So that's good for spreading Scorch. And then Dragon's Breath. It actually got a buff. It was already like the best heavy weapon in the game, and now it got a buff with a reserve buff on March 5th. So Dragon's Breath is absolutely crazy. Synergizes with Overload rockets. We don't know what kind of champions are going to be in here, but we've got Unstoppable Hand Cannon and Overload. And then I could just switch to a anti-barrier sidearm if I needed, even though that's not really needed because we're pretty much always Radiant. So our fusion rifle will have anti-barrier. This has Overload. This has Unstop. And I don't have it on my character, but I could run like a heliocentric. I've got one with Demolitionist Frenzy, I think. So demo is really nice. Even though Sunbracers, you're pretty much always getting your grenade from your melee. But yeah, so this is the weapon loadout that I would go with. And then again, of course, whoops, something's messed up here. So we don't want this. We want Ashes to Assets. So heavy ammo finder, Ashes to Assets. Because, yeah, we might get, like, some kills with Zali's Bane and Dragon's Breath, but at the end of the day, we're spamming grenades. So I don't know if we'll really get heavy ammo finder much because we're not getting many weapon kills. So maybe you even want double Ashes to Assets. Doesn't really matter what you run here. Just make sure you have Ashes to Assets for all your grenade kills. Solar Loader, Dragon's Breath auto reloads itself basically as you're applying Scorch, but it's nice for Zali's Bane because it reloads pretty slow. Firepower to make orbs on our grenade kills, and then causing damage with a grenade reduces your melee cooldown. So with Heat Rises, you get melee energy back, but then this is just going to further enhance that. So if you're not airborne when you're getting those kills, you'll still get some melee energy back from momentum transfer. Again, this just based on what you need for the activity. Solar Scavenger is really nice on rockets, so I highly recommend it. There might actually be a Harmonic Scavenger. Yeah, so I should actually run that, but it doesn't really matter. We've got lots of room on the boots. And then I go with Invigoration again, so this will give us melee energy when we pick up an orb, and then Recuperation for a chunk of health back. You want Recuperation over Better Already because Better Already starts regen, but if you take damage, it will stop it, where Recuperation is just a flat health bump. And then again, 1-2 finisher for a finisher to restore our melee abilities, and then Bomber and Distribution. So yeah, this build, again, Horde mode, so just get a melee kill, chuck a million grenades, you're going to be getting tons of wells with Ashes to Assets and all the damage you're doing. You can stun Unstops and Overloads and even barriers as long as you're Radiant, so it covers all 3 champion types. Good damage here, really good damage, and AoE ad clear here. Huge AoE with the Sunbracers. So yeah, this build goes super hard, and now we'll go to the Hunter. Alright, so we're finally getting off the Solar subclass on Hunter, and you could honestly run the old Ad Clear Assassin. I love this build. It's similar to the Strand Titan in that you'd want a 1-2 punch shotgun, tractor cannon. I've made a few build videos on this one over the years. Super good. Arc with the Jolt from Lethal Current and Flow State. Really good for ad clear. Assassin's Cowl, great for survivability. Or you could go with Liar's Handshake for more damage output, but a little less survivability. But again, this is really good. Again, you'd want Tractor Cannon here. Kind of the same setup I had on my Strand Titan. I also had a Void 1-2 punch shotgun here. And then we got Void Weapon Surges, Void Dexterity for swapping to those Void Weapons really quickly. Yeah, so those 2 setups are going to be great if you like melee-based builds, and I will definitely be testing them out in Onslaught. But the one I'm going in with to start is, so me and a couple other friends, we did the Platinum Corrupted in 12 minutes when we were just farming it, and I had this setup on. So we had a Stasis Hunter, a Solar Hunter, and a Void Hunter. And we weren't using eager edge swords, like we weren't really like fully committed to speedrunning. But anyway, the build was really good and I've really been liking it. Lucky Pants is just absolutely cracked. So I'll take you through what I'd be running. You can see we have a lot of things hurting our stats, but that doesn't really matter. So Deadfall, that's a single shot tether. You could go with Mobius Quiver for more damage, but this one is really good for like bunching up ads and it lasts longer. So again, bunching up ads will be really nice in a horde mode and you'll get lots of tethers with this build. So I really like it. I go with Gambler's Dodge so that I can get more snare bombs so that I can weaken more targets. Vortex Grenades because I really like them. Vanishing Step, so dodging will make me invis. And then Trapper's Ambush. So no, I should have Stylish Executioner. Sorry, I don't know why that was on here. Let me overwrite that real quick. So yeah, I want Stylish Executioner because I'll get to it in a second. So Echo of Persistence, this will make our Devour and Invis last longer, which is really nice. Echo of Undermining, our grenades will weaken targets. That's really good on Vortex grenades. This will make the Vortex grenade last longer. And then Echo of Starvation, picking up a Void Breach, grants us Devour or an Orb of Power. So we really want to have Devour up a lot because, again, survivability is going to be key. So on all the other builds I've shown you, we have like Restoration on the Solar Titan, on the Solar Warlock. Strand has Banner of War. So this is our health regeneration type thing for the Hunter. Again, in a Horde mode, it's going to be really important to have things that give you health back. So yeah, we definitely want Devour. And then Buried Bloodline. Now, not everyone will have this, but this thing is absolutely cracked. So while Devour is active, this weapon weakens on hit. So presumably in the later stages of Onslaught, there's going to be lots of high health targets. So Buried Bloodline is just going to be able to weaken everything because we have that one fragment that gives us Devour on Orb pickup, or just multiple final blows with this weapon grant us Devour. So we have lots of ways to get Devour, and that's going to be keeping us alive. So this thing is awesome. Warden's Law Adept, again, not everyone's going to have it, but if you have one, Enlightened Action, Vorpal Weapon, Extended Mag, this is the God Roll, or 4th times Vorpal, Adept big ones. So this with Lucky Pants can literally take out unstoppable champions in one stun solo. So like I said, it hits completely like a heavy weapon. It's unreal. So yeah, really, really good. And then Braytech Osprey. So I'm going to be getting a lot of kills. Basically, whenever my Lucky Pants is on cooldown, I'm just going to be taking out enemies with Buried Bloodline. And then when this means my Envious Assassin will be procced to like 5 or 6 rockets in the mag. So when big enemies come along, I can just burn them down really, really quickly. So this is going to be great. And if we go back to Stylish Executioner, it says defeating a weakened, suppressed, or volatile target grants invisibility. So a lot of things are going to be getting weakened with, again, we've got the snare bombs, we've got the vortex grenades, and we've got this that can weaken enemies. So yeah, this is why I go Stylish Executioner instead of Trapper's Ambush. It's really good with this build. And then I just double dip, so I've got Void Weapon Surge on the boots. So that's going to be buffing both of these. And then I have a Kinetic Weapon Surge as well to buff my Warden's Law. So everything's just going to be doing more damage when I have an Orb of Power for like 10 seconds. Actually 15 because I've got Time Dilation on. So yeah, this whole build, it is actually absurd. I was doing my bounty stacking and I was doing 3-minute, what are they called? Those Haunted Moon Nightmares or whatever. So I was doing these nightmare hunts in like 3 minutes with this build. It was on an easier difficulty, but everything was just dying. It's crazy because everything in this packs such a punch. And then again, we've got Unstoppable and Anti-Barrier because of Sidearm. So again, and Overload Rockets. So again, we've got all 3 champions covered. So really, really good there. I just can't say enough good things about this build. The only thing is if there's Singes on, it's usually Strand, Stasis, and Solar this season. So you lose out there. But like I said, I was running this in the Corrupted, and I was just so impressed with how well it worked. So Heavy Ammo Finder for our rockets. This is Void Siphon, this is Kinetic Siphon, and this is basically based around weapon kills. So we're going to be getting lots of like multi-kills with our weapons, so we'll make lots of orbs. And then same thing, because it's such a weapon-focused build, Kinetic Loader and Harmonic Loader, and then just Bolstering Detonation grants class ability energy when you do damage with a grenade. So it just gets us a few more dodges. This, again, just depends on the enemy types you're facing. Then, like I mentioned, I've got the 2 surges to match the weapons that I have, and then Harmonic Scavenger. So this is going to help Buried Bloodline and Braytech Osprey every time I pick up a brick. So that's really nice. And then every time I dodge, I'll pick up more orbs, so that'll grant me Devour and all that. Grant me surges, all that stuff, just when I dodge with Powerful Attraction. give me a bit of grenade energy and 15 seconds instead of 10 seconds for time dilation. So this build, like I said, this thing is going so hard these days. I've been nothing but impressed with how good Buried Bloodline is. And you can run, I'm also debating on running this auto-loading Frenzy, because Frenzy is a damage perk, but it's only 1 in the mag, where this is like 5 in the mag. So yeah, I just have to see how Onslaught plays out, but I think I'm going with Bipod, but both of these would work. Anyways, these are the builds that I'm taking into day 1 Onslaught. They're absolutely crazy. Maybe I'll make some more detailed breakdowns on them, but I've pretty much shown you how they work. Let me just, again, give you the quick overview in case you want to copy it. But yeah, leave a like and sub if this was helpful to you. I really think these builds are going to go hard. I think my clan mates, like the first ones I'm running with, we have 1 Warlock, 1 Titan. So I think I'm actually going to jump in on my Hunter. I've been getting kind of sick of playing Stasis, Solar, and Strand this season just because it's been such a long season. So it's been really refreshing to go back to Void. And like Void Hunter is like an OG for me. It's what I soloed my first few dungeons with. Like, I just love Void Hunter. And Tether is going to be really good in Onslaught. So all those builds are honestly going to be really great. I'm going to be using them all day 1. I'm super curious how broken Strand Titan's going to be though. But like I said, all those builds, really good. Can't go wrong with any of them. So I gave you 1 for each class. So no matter what you main, you've got a build to try out once you finally get around to playing Onslaught. So I hope you enjoy. I'm really looking forward to Into the Light and bringing you more content. And yeah, take care.